Throughout the 1920s, new technologies would transform daily life. At the beginning of the decade, most Americans lived without electricity. When night fell, only candles and lamps held off the darkness. America was electrified in the 20s. Electric lights extended the day, opened up new possibilities for work and play. That surge of new power came first to the cities. And by the decade's end, the majority of American homes had electricity.
You can't understand this century without understanding the effect, the impact of science and technology.
My father's generation is the one that really saw amazing changes. He was born in 1900 in a world where the horse was still the main means of getting about. The car seemed to me more revolutionary in a way than anything that's happened since. It totally changed the kind of space we live in, really.
The car would give Americans a sense of autonomy and freedom. The freedom to escape their city or town, to go away on a vacation, or simply on a day's outing. By mid-decade, the government was spending more than $1 billion on the construction of highways, bridges, and tunnels. The beginnings of a national infrastructure which knit the country together.
My father took my mother and me in the car for the first ride through the Holland Tunnel. This was opening night. All the cars were lined up to go through the tunnel. I was petrified. I cringed. Suppose the water leaks in. How did they build the tunnel under the water? Where's the water? And I imagined as we were riding through the tunnel that I heard the waves overhead. Out on the so-called highways of those days, outside of New York, we saw the billboards.
Roadways were soon dotted with a new phenomenon, roadside advertising.
They were big and colorful and beautiful, I thought.
Advertising helped transform not just the physical landscape, but the cultural one. Along with advertising came the expansion of a brand new consumer concept, credit. The old inhibition against debt came tumbling down, as everything from cars to clothes could be bought on time. Buy now, pay later became the order of the day. By 1927, 75% of all household goods were bought on credit. And in the last years of the decade, the item desired most was the radio. From its scratchy beginnings in 1920 as a mere hobby, radio would become a nationwide phenomenon as important as the car. Young radio enthusiast Albert Sindlinger was there at the birth of modern radio. In 1920, the night station KDKA, broadcasting from a factory rooftop in Pittsburgh, transmitted the results of the presidential election.
One of the gentlemen was reading the election returns. He got sick, so for about 35 or 45 minutes, I read election returns. Nobody had any comprehension of the significance of what was going on. But don't forget, there were only a couple of hundred listeners. Within 6 months, every store in America, even grocery stores, were selling radio sets.
Suddenly all Americans were listening to the same things, laughing at the same jokes. It was a kind of communal exercise here, and very much a strengthening of your notion of what it was to be an American.